Hello, hello. It is day 4 of Namaste Holidays. So thank you to everyone who's been following along and viewing the videos. And I hope you're getting some enjoyment out of them. I love teaching, and today we are doing Yin, which is hands down my favorite way to practice. I love to take Yin and I love to teach Yin. So behind me here, you can see I've got a bolster and I've got 2 blocks. And if you don't have these, don't worry about it. You could have some thick bath towels or beach towels that will work just as well. I've got this set up so that my bolster's in the middle and then my blocks are in front of me. So if you had 3 towels, you could take 1 towel and fold that up for the bolster, and then 1 or 2 towels to support the calves. I would probably actually do 2 towels for the bolster and then 1 towel to go underneath the calves. And sometimes my students don't use anything underneath their calves. I'll show you how to get into this. So for Yin, this is a practice where we hold shapes for several minutes. You will see me using some little timers that I have. In class, I tend to use my phone, but we're using that to record right now. So you might see me using some sand timers just to keep track of where we're at. With that, this will be a quieter practice where we find the shape and then we rest there for 3 to 5 minutes. And let's go ahead and begin. So this first shape is a heart opener. I want my chest and my heart to be nice and open. For me, I would come to sitting right in the middle of that bolster or the stacked up blankets. And then I want to make sure my shoulders and my head come off the bolster. Once I've done that, I'm going to bring my calves onto the blocks, and I definitely want my calves on the blocks. And then I'll roll back. We'll just rest here with that heart nice and open. I'm beginning to breathe in and out through the nose. Maybe the eyes softly close. Today I'm working with the theme of present. That has 2 meanings. We are currently giving ourselves the present or the gift of yoga for this next hour or so. But we are also practicing being present, being here in this moment. And let's use the phrase, I am present, as we breathe. Can we find the shapes today? Gently letting some movement come back into the fingers and toes. Plant those hands, bend the knees. I've got my feet back on the mat. I'm just going to roll to one side, bringing myself back up to a comfortable sitting shape. We'll let the blocks come out of the way. We're not going to need those for the next shape. I'll move that bolster. It's a little closer to the top of the mat. We're going to come into a similar shape to the one we just did, just moving the bolster to a slightly different spot. So I'll bring my hips right to the bolster, and soles of my feet come together, my knees go out to the sides. I said we weren't going to use the blocks, but you could use blocks, or you could take blankets and place them underneath the knees to support the knees here. And then again, maybe 1 or 2 blankets right here. As you're ready, we're going to roll ourselves back, letting that bolster support us in a back bend shape here. My arms can come to the sides, palms up. And sometimes it actually feels better to let the hands rest on the hip bones or on the belly. So definitely check in, notice what feels better for you. Having the feet together is going to bring a stretch to those inner thighs. So again, if that's feeling a little too edgy, blocks under the knees, we could also bring those legs more to straight. You could even straighten the legs completely. Once again, tuning in, I am present. Let's take a few breaths here. Gently drawing the knees up so you can plant the feet. Once again, let's roll to the side. We're going to do a couple more shapes with the bolster, but bringing that off the mat. Just have it nearby so that you can find it as we're ready. We'll come back onto our backs, knees are bent. So I rest my head down, I'll press through my feet to lift my hips. And I'm going to bring the bolster. You could also bring the blankets or a block. A block will be a little more edgy. And then once I'm here, I'm going to extend both legs forward. What we're working on here is a hip flexor stretch. So hip flexors start up here in the pelvis and they run down into the legs. And they are quite deep in the body. It can take a little bit of work to get into them and stretch them. And this shape tends to help some of us find that. If you're finding it a little edgy, you could always bend one leg and then switch that out. I'll give us a reminder at the 1.5 minute mark if we need to switch out the legs. But if you're okay with both legs, we'll just come to rest here for a few minutes. And if you're working with one leg straight, one leg bent, go ahead and reverse that. And wherever you are, if you'd like to try this, bend both knees. Let those legs go up to the sky. So if you're using a block, this may feel a little edgy on your low back. And you'll want to bring those feet down and scoot that bolster so that it's closer to the feet. And then maybe let those legs come up. The block or the bolster or the towel will do the work here. So finding this shape is actually a way to give our hearts a break. The hearts are, your heart, my heart, are pumping blood down into our toes and then back up. So this is reversing gravity. This is also a great shape to find if you're prone to having any swelling in the feet or ankles or the legs. You could always do this with your legs against a wall as well. Maybe welcoming some movement in the ankles, perhaps rotations, pointing and flexing. If you rotate one way, make sure you rotate the other. Gently bending into both knees, let those feet come back to the mat. Once your feet are on the mat, lift your hips, move that bolster out to the side, roll your spine down, and hug your knees into your chest. One hand to each knee, or hands clasped. Just give yourself a low back massage, side to side here. When you're ready, releasing, find your way to a comfortable sitting shape, keeping all of the props nearby, the towels, the blocks, the bolsters. Let's take our right leg and draw that heel in close to the body, and then place that left leg in the front. So when I look down, I can see both my ankles, my toes are going out to the sides. From here, we're folding forward. So we've got the props. If you're using the towels, I would say stack all three towels up. When I fold forward, I'm gonna let my heart lead. This would be letting my chin lead. This is letting my heart lead. And maybe I'm going to bring my hands or my elbows onto props. I've got all sorts of stuff I could use here. You could stack all three of the blankets up, and maybe hands come to the floor or elbows come to the floor. Just finding the shape that works for you. Let that head and neck relax. We're in a forward fold here. So for those of you that bring elbows down to the floor, you could also potentially drop your head down, bringing those arms into log roll, and just let that head rest down. And I want to stress that elbows down, head down, hands down, sitting upright, hands here, coming forward 1 inch, it's all the same shape, just different variations. So definitely take a shape that honors you and allows you to be present in this moment. If we come into a shape where we're gonna hold our breath, and I often say, regret the choice I've made, then I'm gonna change that. I'm not going to stay in a shape that makes it hard for me to be present. I definitely get into them, I just will change and come out of it as well. And then right from here, let's go ahead and walk the hands or the arms over to the left. If you're using props, you could bring the props over. You could again come to more of an upright shape. And as you're ready, walk yourself over towards the right. And maybe it's very different side to side. So that first side, it was pretty easy for me to come deeply into the shape. This side, I'm getting a stretch that feels good on my body, and I am nowhere near as deep into the shape. Know that you can adjust. Sometimes when we're in the shape for a little bit, we back out. Sometimes we want to come a little deeper. And then walk yourself back to center and just find the shape again. Notice if it's a little more accessible. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Just take a notice. And then carefully bring yourself up. Let those legs find a gentle V shape. Hands come forward. Imagine you were stirring a really large pot of food. Before we go the opposite direction, notice which thumb is on top. Put your non-habitual thumb on top and then stir the other way. And back to center. And we're going to do that same sequence, bringing the left leg in this time. So I've got my left heel in close to my body. I'm going to stack that right heel in front, growing nice and tall. Maybe I'm bringing the props in front of me. Maybe I'm working right here with my hands down. If I'd like, I can begin to explore whether I'm bringing elbows to the floor or onto the blankets or the towels. Maybe my fingers are going to stay down. Just breathing into this. And again, when we go side to side, I check in and I notice, how does it feel? For me, it's always different. One side's easier than the other. The first side was easier. This side is a little more of a stretch. And if I could magically show all of us what our bodies look like, skeletons, you would see that you are not symmetrical. And that would help you to understand why it's going to feel so different side to side. One side is going to be easier, maybe more flexible. One side might be stronger. And just allowing it to be different. This time, let's start by walking to the right. Props may come with you, or maybe they stay where they're at. And then walk over towards the left. One more time, back to center. Just check in. Maybe it's a little more accessible, maybe yes, maybe no. One of the gifts, the presence of yoga, is to help us develop self-awareness. To notice this shape worked for me, this shape didn't work for me. My body's a little more open after this shape. And then drawing yourself back up. Let's come onto our hands and knees. Letting those knees be underneath the hips. And perhaps shoulder, elbow, wrist come into one line. As we inhale, belly drops. Back of the head and the tailbone go high. And as you exhale, tuck chin, tuck tailbone, round your back to the sky. Inhale, drop, finding cow. Exhale, round, finding cat. Back and forth a couple times like this. And as you come back to neutral, walk yourself forward. I'm going to bring a block with me. Sometimes I like to use a block for this next shape. And let those elbows come down. Let that belly come down. Finding Sphinx. So in Sphinx, my elbows are going to be in front of or below my shoulders, not behind. And if I would like to decrease the intensity here, I could bring the arms forward, more of a superhero, elbows out to the sides, hands stack, head down, crocodile shape. If I want to increase intensity, hands to the sides, pressing into the hands, I will lift my chest. Sphinx is targeting the low back. It's where the back bends come from. For me, I like to take a block and just rest my head on it here. So finding the shape that works for you. Let's take a few moments here. And continuing to check in and be present in this shape, not wandering off to what else has to happen today. And I should have said, if you don't have a block, stacking one of those beach towels could work as well to support your head. You could also make some fists with the hands and let the head come down. And let's all meet in crocodile. Elbows out to the sides, hands stack, head down. Shake your hips side to side, let go of any tension. And then bending into the knees, imagine your feet could come onto the ceiling. Let those legs go side to side like windshield wipers. Back to center, lowering the feet down. We're going to come into a shoulder stretch, and I'm going to turn myself just so you can see what my arms are doing. So I'll start resting on my belly. I've got my left hand underneath my shoulder. My chin is going to turn to the left. Sorry, I'm just moving everything out of the way here. And then as I'm ready, right arm extends, and I can work here. I'm working to stretch my right shoulder. If I want, I could roll into that shoulder. You can see my top leg here could rest, or it could come behind. As I'm ready, rolling back to my belly, reversing the arms. So I'll start by bringing that right hand under my right shoulder, turning my chin to the right with my head resting on the ground. Left arm extends, and then as I'm ready, I'm going to go ahead and roll this direction. Again, this top leg could stack, or it could come up and touch the floor behind me. And maybe I don't roll at all. Maybe I just extend the arm and rest right there. Rolling back to the belly. Both hands underneath the shoulders, pressing up. Let's come to any type of sitting shape that we'd like for just a moment. Doing a little bit of rotation through the neck. We'll do chin to chest, ear to shoulder, head goes back. Slow and easy. And then reverse direction. Next time the chin comes to the chest, we'll lift the head up. Let's find the bolster or the blankets that are stacked, or the towels, whatever it is we're working with today. Bringing that bolster onto the mat. So I've got it near the front of the mat, and it's long edges of the bolster to the long edges of the mat. I'm going to start by bringing my right hip next to the bolster and my right leg just like I was going to cross it. My left knee to the sole of that right foot. From here, I'll inhale to grow tall. Exhale, turn. Imagine your heart, your belly button coming onto the bolster. So I'll bring my arms to either side, letting myself lower down. I could turn my chin away from my knees. I could also turn it towards my knees. Just exploring which one of those feels better, and you can always change it. So twists do remind us to release and let go. And if we are going to be present, be here, what do we need to let go of? Probably the to-do list. Using the hands, bring yourself back up to a comfortable sitting shape. Maybe you just want to turn yourself around. For me, I'm going to move the bolster simply so I don't turn my back to all of you. But we just want to bring the bolster to the left hip now, snugging it up. I'll bend that left knee and then bring my right knee to the sole of the left foot. Once again, inhale to grow tall, exhale, turn. Imagine that belly button coming onto the bolster. And then I'm going to choose chin away from the knees or chin towards the knees. Sinking into this shape. Use the arms, find your way back up to sitting. We're going to come into our resting shape to close the practice. So I'm going to recommend just turning that bolster. Now the short ends of the bolster are in line with the long ends of the mat. And finding our way to a resting shape on our backs. The bolster or the towels will go right underneath our knees. It just helps to relax tight hamstrings and the low back. And then I'll roll onto my back. Again, noticing if I want to bring my hands to the sides or let the hands rest on my belly or my hip bones. Perhaps closing the eyes. Taking these last few moments, resting in silence. And softly let movement come back to fingers and toes. Maybe wrist and ankles rotate. On an inhale, hands and feet stop moving. And as you exhale, reach the arms overhead, stretching side to side, maybe fingertips to toe tips. Inhale, arms back to the sides of the body. Exhale, chin to the right. Inhale, chin to center. Exhale, chin to the left. Inhale, chin to center. And roll on to the right side and just take a breath or two here. Then use that top hand, bring yourself back up to a comfortable sitting shape. Maybe the hands come together at the heart. Maybe the eyes are softly closed. Give yourself the gift of presence. Be present. Make that your present. Thank you so much for tuning in for Namaste Holiday. I will see you later. Namaste. Thanks everyone. So that is week 1 of Namaste Holiday. We'll start up again on Monday, the 13th of December. And on that day, I am doing prenatal yoga. So please continue to follow along. I'm glad to be offering these free classes just as a thank you for everyone who has supported my business this year. All right, everybody. Bye-bye. See you later.